Hi everyone. Although this is a studio vlog, quite obviously I'm not in my studio. This is where I come with Else every day. I've lived here for about 15 years now, so I know this landscape pretty well. I'm always sort of trying to learn more. We have quite a large variety of wildlife, even though it's quite a bleak landscape. We have deer, badgers, foxes, lots and lots of different bird varieties, and absolutely stacks of insects, although I think insects are declining. But this is basically where I get a lot of inspiration for my artwork from. I think art comes from your soul, and nature is part of my soul, and I know that I'm really lucky to have this on my doorstep. One of the things that really interests me, it's almost a bit of an obsession as it were, is little secret places, you know, little places that people don't notice. Like this little nest that's just tucked in here. I think we as human beings quite often think we're the centre of the known universe and it's all about us all the time, but when you actually come out in nature you realise there's worlds within worlds within worlds, and in all this tangle of stuff there is all manner of life going on that we don't see and notice on an everyday basis. I can hear some frogs. I haven't managed to see one yet. They keep tucking themselves away. But yeah, I love tangled places, overgrown places. I love wild things. I almost don't want to say anything because there's a skylark just singing a little heart out up there. We are incredibly lucky that we're one of the places left in the country with skylarks. I think they're holding on in spite of everything. In this area there are quite a few small farmers just kind of hanging on by their fingertips. It hasn't all gone to agribusiness yet, and they tend not to go right up to the edges of the fields and stuff, so I think that's possibly why we've got them. I can't film her because they go so high up. It's like a little speck with a very loud voice. And this is a rather wonderful hedge of blackthorn. There's all sorts of folklore associated with blackthorn because it has really, really long spikes on it, and I can well believe that people have died from like blood infections caught from catching themselves on it. But it is really beautiful with all the lichens and everything on it as well. I'm very lucky at the moment that I've got lambs practically on my doorstep. I know, look at you, look! I'm up here every day looking at them. I just think they're fantastic. They're just such happy little creatures. You couldn't not love a lamb. Well, we're back from our walk and I'm working on a sketch of something that I actually saw yesterday, which is a peacock butterfly on some dandelions. I do work from life, but I also try to observe things really closely. What I always do is use a reference book so that I can be sure that I get the markings right. I've had this one for years. It's a Reader's Digest one. Don't rely on Google, because the search indexing, you know, it can be a photo of something totally different to what you're searching for that comes up. So this reference guide, I check for markings so that I know that I'm getting things as accurate as I can. I'll show you a little bit of what I've been working on since I've been in here. This guy is acrylic ink and coloured pencil. I really want to get more intricate sort of bits into my work, because I tend to do very simplistic things, and I'd like to sort of introduce more sort of twiny, branchy type things. This worked. I'll show you something which didn't work, which was this one, which is watercolour and colour pencil. The reason I don't think it worked, because it looks like there's random sort of Art Deco elements under Swan. It doesn't really sort of hang together as a composition. So sort of, I like the Swan, but it's just sort of back to the drawing board. And then I started working on a series of watercolours. It's a complete blooming surprise to me that I even like watercolours, because I never have in the past. But I think, you know, what happened with the other studio is probably a benefit, because this is pen watercolour with a little bit of colour pencil, and this is what I mean about these little secret tucked away worlds that we don't often see. So this is sort of what I've been aiming to get. And there's this one, he's quite a character. I'm trying to also draw a lot from my imagination as well. I really want to get away from copying photographs. So I sort of, you know, look at various mice and then, you know, go away and draw my own. And we have quite a lot of mice of our own who go in the feed sheds and stuff. So I do see them quite a lot. So I did a series of 3 mice and mushrooms. And I think I'll actually turn these into digital stamps, because I think they will work quite well. So I'll scan in my original sketches, and then I will pop them onto the computer and do them in Corel Painter and see how they come out. Printmaking wise, I've been working on this snail. That's the first proof. I've done a little bit more cutting because I wanted a bit lighter underneath the snail. So that's nearly ready for printing that block. The only problem is once you have proofed it, sometimes you've got a job to see properly when you're cutting again. And it's the same with this one that I've done of Alphonse. I proofed it and I need a lot more white on it and just sort of grade it back so that it gives some sort of dimension, and on his face as well. So there's quite a bit more cutting to go on that block. I mean, it's always better to undercut because you can't put it back once it's gone. But it does make it a little bit more difficult. You can see where I've cut there, and it's a bit of a different colour to this, so you've got to be quite careful, but hopefully it will turn out and it will look like him. You don't often get to see me in videos because I prefer to be behind the camera, but I might do a few studio vlogs in amongst my normal ones, because I get slightly concerned it might get a bit boring with Merv trying to eat my coat in every one, because that's just what he does. I'm still really deciding and finding my feet art-wise. the way things were for me at the beginning of the year, with the studio going upside down, it really made me think and look hard about what I want to do and what's important to me in art. And I am really wanting to take my work in a different sort of direction. I'm very keen to go back on with the printmaking, and printmaking doesn't really make for good sort of speed paint videos and things like that. It's quite a slow process, and also quite involved with the, you know, pulling of proofs and everything. So I am going to do the pen and ink work as well, but I know that I need to focus, because one of my biggest issues has always been I try and do too many things, and that's quite difficult, because one week I'll be drawing something and then the next week I could be crocheting a sock out of baling twine, because that's what I feel like I want to do. So I'm trying very hard to like focus myself to concentrate on line work, because that goes very well with the printmaking. So it'll probably be the ink, watercolour and coloured pencil along with the printmaking, but we'll just see how things go. And you know, I'll do some videos and we'll see sort of, you know, what happens. But thank you very much for joining me today, and hopefully I'll see you next time.